So you took to the skies, and you finally came upon the lost city of Omu, deep in the jungles of Cholt. Upon discovering the city, flying overhead, you picked what you thought might be one of the better places to land, near the front of the city entrance. Basically, there was only two real visible points that the city had from above that um, seemed like it gave access to the city, and that one was a large set of stone stairs that led into the front of the city, and then there was a large river mouth that poured in from the north end of the city as well. Those seem to be the really only two entrances or exits into the city of Omu itself. Most of the rest of the city is kind of engulfed in these tall cliff walls, and every few hundred feet or so, these large gargoyles are perched on the edges of the city of Omu, peering down into the ruined city streets. You poked your heads into a few little buildings here and there, and now you find yourself inside a large ruined compound, which seems to have, within the last day or two, a large battle seems to have taken place there. There are many charred and burned bodies, and you discovered a man who has survived the fray under a pile of rubble, and you managed to uncover him. And his name was uh, Orvex. And before he passed out from dehydration, even going a day without water in Cholt because of the heat and everything, you can start suffering exhaustion and become dehydrated very quickly. And from his injuries and from being trapped for a day or two under the rubble here in Omu, he kind of passed out from exhaustion. And from the signs that you gathered from the scene, it seemed like uh, perhaps the people who were camped here in this compound were attacked by um, some of the Yuan-ti. It seems like they had made a pyre of sorts for their own dead near the back of the compound after the battle. One thing you notice behind the compound as you were poking around last week is there seems to be some sort of um, strange-looking shrine on the other side of the west wall of the compound. Otherwise, you're all there with the Orvex inside this large walled um, massacre, basically, and he has just fallen unconscious from his wounds and not being able to drink water for a day or two, probably.
Weak.
All right. Well, I try to. Well, I'll feed him a regular potion, I guess.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'll cheer you on while doing that.
I'm gonna work on copying those spells into my book.
Nice.
Oh yeah, pour that potion down his throat. Get it.
So you kind of prop his chin open, and he chokes down most of the potion. And his eye, it's like rubbing or holding one of those like little stoppers that people use to like they wave under people's nostrils when they're trying to wake somebody that's passed out up. Like he kind of opens his eyes back up again instantly, and you can see that his lips are all kind of cracked and broken, and he does look very dehydrated, but
Give him water.
he kind of wakes back up after getting the potion down.
Garn, give me that water.
Hand over water skin, give him to him.
So I give him a little water.
Slowly.
Yeah, he drinks it fairly slowly on his own. And he just holds on to your water skin or whatever you hand him. He's still mostly he's still got like a leg pinned under a big piece of like concrete that's collapsed on top of him. Um, and he says, if you wouldn't mind, could you all please help me out of here? I think I can stand if you help me out from under this last pillar. I can still feel my legs, so that's a good sign.
Shh. I'm trying to copy these spells into my book, and you're distracting me.
Anyways, anyone else want to give me a hand?
Yeah, I'll try to help you with lifting that thing off.
All right. Well, one of you guys can make an athletics check with advantage, then.
With advantage.
Oh, fuck.
Give you guidance if it'll help.
Athletics.
Yes,
With guidance?
It's a pretty solid it's a pretty solid piece of stone that's fallen down across his legs.
We need some more help, I think.
Is there a way we can use rope to like lift off of them?
Yeah, you could try that.
I mean, I'm just the idea guy.
Or is there any like logs or big sticks we can kind of use a lever?
Yeah, you can find there's a few trees around and there's other kind of stuff that looks like rubble and remnants from the buildings. There's a few um boards and things like that from some of the collapsed structures in the compound as well. It's hard to say how durable they might be considering they're probably all very old, but you can find something that might work as like a lever of sorts.
What do you think, Garn?
Were you working for the Zentarum?
Orvex says that he came here with a group of red wizards of Thay.
Does he look like one of the natives, or does he look like someone that shouldn't be in the jungle?
He looks like he's in his early 40s maybe. Most of the hair on the top of his head he's kind of balding up there, but he still has kind of like a ring of like graying brown but like graying hair around the lower portions of his head. He's dressed in like functional traveling clothes for the jungle. He's got kind of a lightweight, it's very dirty now, but like a lightweight linen shirt on. He's got kind of like a waist length leather kind of duster type thing on. There's a pair of like spectacles nearby, and it looks like one of the lenses has been like cracked and broken, but he probably wears those to see a little better. He looks fairly fit though, and like he's well traveled. His skin is tan and weathered. He's a human, and so he looks like he's back from the mainland. He's not like a native or anything. And so he's kind of he looks a little bookish in his features of his face, but otherwise the rest of his body looks fairly fit and like he's used to this kind of thing.
Okay.
Wait. Sorry, go ahead.
Guys, I will attempt to move the stone.
Wait. No, I'm in character. So, are you a wizard?
I think that it would be more accurate to call me a historian.
So, do you cast spells?
No, the Wizards of Thay hired me to come here with them because I can translate Old Omuan.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay.
And what were you doing here? Like, what's your overall goal?
My personal job was to just take direction from the wizards, but they came here because they are trying to enter the tomb of the 9 gods.
Can while keeping an eye on him, can I kind of pull everyone aside? Like do a little huddle?
He's like, my leg.
Yeah, okay. You're used to this, right? Like, I'm like, guys, is this like the faction that whose lynch we killed?
It's also the fact that he knows Old Omu and can help us with translations in this city.
Can we get him to turn sides though? Because
I think saving him is going to make him. And if not, I'll pay for him. I'll pay his fee.
pay his fee.
I can't stand to see someone hurt like this, so I'm
But
going
what
to
if,
give him free.
what if we let him out and then he turns on us because we killed that lynch?
Then we kill him. Plain and simple. But right now, I've got to do something.
So can we like, under the guise of bandaging him up, kind of rig it up so he's detained, like cuffed, so he can't turn on us once we free him?
I'll go over there and tell him that, hey, we don't trust you, and we're going to put manacles on you. If he has a problem with that, then I'm not going to get the law or the stone off of him.
All right, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm behind that.
Okay, I believe one of us has manacles, don't we? If not, I'll use rope.
You say
Yes.
you say that stuff to him, Garn?
Yeah.
So Orvex says, look, there's no need for any of that. I simply came here because A, the Wizards of Thay paid very well, but B, out of my own simple curiosity. I have no loyalty to the Wizards of Thay. Now that most of them, as you can see, are dead, I would be happy to accompany you in continuing to explore the city. It's my own personal curiosity that is driving me most of all.
Insight, see if he's telling the truth.
Sure. It seems like that's totally legit. Like he just wants to not be under this pillar. He wants to see more of the city.
Okay.
I'm gonna go up to him and try and intimidate him, and just say, humor a rat.
Yeah, as you walk up to him and kind of lean in to intimidate him, he like leans his neck back away from you as you put your face in close. I'm listening.
Like, we're gonna bind you up. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm at your mercy. I obviously cannot take on a group of capable-looking adventurers like yourselves on my own.
I mean, we've gone through a lot of shit, man, and like, it's for all of our safety, yours and ours. This way, dude over there, I point at Riceak. He's a little trigger happy, and if you step out of line, you might just,
He says,
I wink at him.
He says, I don't see how it's very safe for me to be bound in case we are ambushed by the lizard men again, but I'm at your mercy, as you can see, so.
If we're bound, one of the first things, if we get attacked by the Yanti, and you've proven yourself to, not be a backstabber, one of the first things I'll do is unbind you. How about that?
Sounds fair.
Okay, I go up to the stone and call out to Thardhar.
Whoa.
And
he's not bound yet.
Yeah, this is going to take a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
And I start moving the stone off of him.
Oh, nice.
I look over at Riceak. You're the knot guy.
So do you just cause the pillar to kind of stand back up on its end and just
In the shape of Thardhar.
Oh, okay, nice. So you guys see the large pillar of stone draped across Orbex's legs begin to kind of like crumble away into little piles of rubble, and as it shifts and moves, by the time it's done, a little dust cloud kind of disperses, and there's a little dwarven-sized stone statue there in the shape of Thardhar, um, and Orvex kind of bends forward and feels his leg that was mostly pinned. You can see that, like um, in the soft grounds here, there's a big indentation where his lower half of his body kind of got sunk into the ground from being here for a day or two, and he, you can see him kind of wiggle his ankle around, and then he begins to push himself to his feet, and um, he stumbles a little at first, but it seems to be not broken or anything, and he stands up on his own, and he begins kind of turning his head, or looking around for maybe his backpack or his satchel to see if he can see any of his possessions in the wreckage.
Yep.
Do I spot any before him?
There's kind of stuff all over the place. So there's, um, uh, he points to one of the buildings and he says, "We were camped in that shelter there, but I don't see any of my belongings anywhere nearby."
Hand over his spectacles.
He kind of looks at them disappointedly, and
Sorry, I don't have that
yeah,
mending spell.
yeah, he still puts them back on, and they're kind of crooked on the end of his nose.
Do we have like a visual of the Thardhar statue?
To make it easy, I just make it that his holy symbol, just a large version of that holy symbol, because I don't even know what Thardhar looks like.
So it's probably like it's probably like it's a dwarven size, maybe like a little bigger than a regular dwarf because he's a god, so he's probably like 5'2", and it probably has like he probably's got like looks like he's got a scraggly wild mane of hair sticking out from the back of his head, and a big overly poofed out beard, and he probably looks like he's wearing some kind of like Tarzan type like loincloth with a strap over across his chest, and that comes down and like envelops around his waist, and then I think that he probably has like vines draped over his big vines draped over his shoulders, dragging down behind him, and then probably a couple of big wicked looking battle axes in either hand.
Are they stone battle axes?
Uh-huh.
That's sweet.
So is the stone moved then?
Yeah.
He's up and walking about.
All right. Well, I grab him and I restrain him.
Sure.
We need to get on the move.
We probably need a rest after what we've been through here already.
Then we need to find a suitable location that's defendable.
Oh, if Sorey casts his little hut, that's pretty defendable no matter where it's at.
Yeah, good idea.
And if we put it here, they wouldn't expect anybody to be here anyway. As long as we don't put a fire with smoke going up.
Not that we need a fire, since I can control the temperature of the hut.
So why don't we rest for a day and get our spells back and get the knowledge of old Omu start to flow.
Good idea.
Sure. Yeah, as you guys go into Sorey's, what's it like in there, Sorey, in your tiny hut?
That's a good question. Probably very plain.
Oh, really?
Like Yeah, Sorey's not one to be tied down by earthly possessions, really.
There's not like a Keurig or anything like. Uh, but Orvex, as you guys are resting in Sorey's tiny hut, he does say, "Well, perhaps I can tell you the legend of the nine gods and perhaps garner some trust with you, fine
Do I know the
folks."
legends of the Nine Gods?
Um, you can make a history check, but it's unlikely. It's going to be a high DC. It's pretty high. You've heard different things about the legends of the nine gods, but not the entire legend as it is. You know that uh, the Omuans, uh, worshipped this greater god called Omu, but Omu did have these lesser gods that served him, and they all tended to take the form of different beasts. But uh, uh, but Orvex says that the stories of Omu's nine trickster gods died with the Omuans who worshipped them. Long ago, the god Uptel hardened his heart and vowed to weep for the people of Omu no longer. So the rain stopped, and the jungle withered and died, and death swept through Omu. One morning, a wise Zorbo, which is like an evil-looking koala bear, emerged from her hollow tree and spoke to the dying Omuans to convince Ubtao of their worth. She decided to cook him a stew made from all their good qualities. Catching such virtues wouldn't be easy, so she asked a wily Almaraj, which is like a rabbit with a horn like a unicorn, um, to help her. The Almiraj snuck recklessness into the pot that the Zorbo was brewing, which she saw as a virtue, and Abtao spat out the stew when he tasted it. And from that day on, um, Obolaka the Zorbo and Ajin the Mirage became terrible enemies. At noon that day, a brave Kamadan hopped down from her rock, which is like a leopard with snakes coming out of its back. Um, She saw the evil in the Omuans' hearts and decided to lance it like a troublesome boil. The Commandant fashioned a holy spear, but she left it by the river bank, and a crafty Grung stole it. In her rage, Shagambi, the Commandant, forgot all about the Omuans and chased Nagnang, the Grung, forever across the sky. When evening came, a wily Iblis stepped from his reed hut, and the Iblis is like a kind of like a crane almost. It's like a bird. Um, he didn't like the Omuans, but without them, he'd have no one to play his tricks on. The Iblis sent a marsh frog to reason with Ubtao, but the frog was angry and decided to wrestle the god instead. This amused Ubtao, so he gave the frog tentacles to make it stronger. And when Kubazan, the frog Hemoth, returned to Papazotl, the Eblis, he chased Papazotl into the swamp with his new tentacles. That night, a Sioux monster, which is like an evil monkey, broke into Abtao's palace and stole a pail of water from the Omuans. When the god came running to find it for the Omuans, and when the god came running to find the pail, the Sioux monster hid the pail in a Jakuli's barrow. And a Jakuli is like it's, it's kind of like
Flying snake thing?
it's not flying, but it's kind of like yeah, like a snake that can change the texture and color of its scales to camouflage itself, kind of like a gecko. Um, Abtal asked the jungle animals where his water was hidden, and Moa, the Jakuli, was too honest to lie. When Wongo, the Sioux monster, found out how Moa had betrayed him, he vowed to catch the Jakuli and eat him up. All the while, Unk, the flail snail, lived deep under the earth. The noise of the other animals fighting made her slither up to the surface, and when day dawned over her shell, the light blinded Abtal and made his eyes water. Life returned to Omu, and the people built shrines to honor the animals who saved them. So that's the legend of the 9 gods that Orvex kind of recounts as you guys are resting through the night. And he says that what he thinks is that there is a puzzle piece hidden in each of the shrines that opens the chambers to the shrine or the temple of the 9 gods, which he and the Wizards of Thay believed is where the Soulmonger is residing.
And that's a temple back there.
And it believes there, or it looks like there is one of the shrines behind the compound that you're currently resting in, yes. And he says that most of them are scattered throughout the city, but they hadn't had much of a chance yet to explore because they had only been here a short time once once they had arrived in Omu. So they have not found any of the puzzle cubes yet, and they were getting ready to explore their first shrine when the attack happened.
So it looks like that's what we should do next is check that shrine out.
And let me see if I can give this legend as a handout, just so you guys can look it over if you want to. I'll put it up in the player handouts folder. But in your camouflaged hut, Sorey, the night goes by uneventfully. You guys can like see out of that, right? Like it's like transparent from the inside, so you can see out. Am I wrong about that?
Let me check.
It says it's opaque from the outside.
Yeah, but it's transparent from the inside.
So yeah, we're good.
So at some point in the night, kind of north of you, just on the outside of the walls of the little does anybody speak Draconic?
No.
So you hear some low chatter at some point in the night. Somebody does, and I guess I didn't really establish who might be up, but we'll just roll a D5 for it. So at some point in the night, Riceak, you kind of stir from your sleep and outside of the hut and outside of the walls of the compound, you can hear like some low chattering, but it sounds like several voices. And that's unless you go like looking for what it is, that's you just kind of hear it right now. But it seems like outside of the compound there are some creatures or something that are passing by. It sounds like they're passing by, not necessarily that they're like coming inside or anything. But
Well, I will continue to observe, and if they get closer, then I will lean over and wake up Wuce.
yeah, you don't ever actually see anyone come like over or through the walls into the compound itself, and eventually the voices kind of dissipate and drift off in out of earshot again.
How many voices were there?
Make a perception check for me.
Sure.
would say maybe you'd estimate between maybe 8 and 10.
Okay. Then I'll just sit tight until the end of the watch.
Sure. Yeah. Eventually, morning comes. The inside of the tent begins to have some kind of light shine through it very gradually as the day approaches and starts to get a little warmer.
I wake up and tell Riceak, hey man, sorry for not getting up last night. I just guess it didn't seem important.
It's all good. I'll sleep in past your watch next time.
Fair enough.
It's mostly overcast today, although the cloud cover is kind of thin, and as you come out from Sorey's tiny hut, there are thin rays of sunlight kind of pouring over the streets of Omu, and
And the smell of dead bodies.
yeah, there's a light misting of rain that gradually kind of dies down as the sun begins to kind of peek its head through the clouds, and it is fairly disgusting smelling as the day begins to warm up, and the rain is no longer pressing down the smell of some of the decaying corpses. Many of them are charred and burned, though, so there's not a whole lot of flesh to begin rotting away, but there is that smell of death in the air, and
That symbol of the Yanti that was erected, I go over and I start sacred flaming it until it topples down.
Oh, okay, yeah, nice. It was kind of like it was kind of like one of the Yanti probably dipped their hand or their fingers in some charcoal, or maybe they used a charred bone of one of their victims to kind of scratch it or into the wall, and so you sacred flame, and you kind of burn the side of the wall away and get rid of the symbol.
Okay. Guys, y'all ready for this border or this shrine over here?
Yep.
So we start heading to the shrine.
Nice. Okay, let's see here.
Wait, where is that on the map that we're headed to?
I will. Oh yeah, it's just behind. Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
How much of this map is visible to you guys? Is it black?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta make sure that it's the right one. Okay, there we go. Guess you guys would probably approach from this side. So is that visible now?
No,
No.
Some of it is.
not for me.
I wonder if your guys' tokens are fucked up or something. Let me check.
Always.
Oh, okay, I see.
There it goes.
I can see it now.
You're human, right, Sorey?
Yep.
Okay. You can see Sigismund?
Yes.
Okay. And Thalia,
Yes, I'm here.
can you see the map now?
I'm fine, yes.
A little bit? Okay. That's good. You see a rectangular pool of murky water that stretches before a vine-draped shrine. You see some rope bridges that once spanned the water float on its surface, and tangled with other debris, the shards of a toppled monolith form stepping stones to the middle of the pool, where a statue of a stone frog rises above the water. The shrine to the trickster god Kubazan, Orvex says, represented as the frog-emyth. He says, it is quite magnificent. Surely one of the 9 puzzle cubes needed to enter the tomb of the 9 gods is here.
Do I see anything?
Um, so you see, the pool before you, kind of dotted with the lily pads, and you do see something, Garn. It looks like there's a reed. You notice one of the reeds poking out of the pool, kind of the tip of it bends and turns towards you, and there's like an eyeball at the end of the reed, and it seems to be watching you guys.
There's something in the water. And after that shock of seeing that eyeball turn at me, I like back up a couple of steps.
Sure.
Even I go a little bit, okay, that's a little weird.
Where's it at in the water?
The reed stock is right about here at the edge of the pool, nearby where you guys are.
Can we tell how deep it is?
Not by looking at it, really. The water's kind of murky, and it's hard to see how deep it would be. But if what the legend of the 9 gods says is kind of true, a frog-emyth is not necessarily a very small creature, so you might believe that the water's fairly deep.
All right.
Where is this thing that we saw? Can you ping it on the map?
Yeah, the eye stalk seems like it poked its head out of the water right here. And now that Garn points it out, you can kind of easily see there's like the stalk itself coming out of the water looks almost identical to like a water reed, but you can notice that the end of it can kind of bend and turn, and at the end of the stalk you see an eyeball that's kind of looking between all of you, surreptitiously moving as it gauges what you're going to do.
Like, can we see what's in this? Like, is there anything special? Are there like engravings or anything on this big statue?
The monolith in the center, or near the center of the pool, it looks like it's slippery with moss. Rotted rope bridge sinks as soon, or the rotted rope bridges are kind of dipping down into the pool. It doesn't seem that there is anything that's engraved that you can see on the stone, but it does appear to be like covered in moss.
I'm gonna start walking around to see if I see anything.
And actually, go ahead and, well, since you pointed it out, Riceak, why don't you make a perception check for me?
Sure.
It does look like you spot something in the mouth of the statue.
I think there's something in the mouth, guys.
There's a little indentation. There's like a tongue lopping out of the statue's head, and there's a little indentation in the tongue, and it appears like there's something inside of it.
Are these kind of stone things in the water? Are they flat or are they round?
They look like they're crumbled parts of the statue. There are some flat parts, and there are some like round parts as well.
Well, I want to attempt to see if I can get close to this and step over it, like in this area. So I'm gonna step here, test my footing, and then walk across as like stepping stones.
You're walking towards that periscoping eye thing?
No, I'm gonna walk towards the statue,
The
using the obelisk as like a stepping stone.
periscoping eye is right here.
Okay, well then I will try to do it as quickly as possible. You want to cover? Will you cover me?
Yeah, already in action, I guess. If something looks like it's aggressively going towards them, I'll try and attack it.
Okay, sure. So just give me a acrobatics check, Riceak.
Sure.
So you limberly leap, despite some of the moss and wet slipperiness of these stones, you definitely leap from one stone to the other stone, and as you reach your arm out to grab whatever's in the mouth of this statue, or to at least get a better look at it, the water behind you begins to bubble, and rising up from it is a large froghemoth.
Dodoy.
Jesus! Oh my God!
You see it has a couple more of those eye stalks on the top of its head, and as it submerges from the water, they kind of retract down to the top of its grotesque head, and you can see a smile kind of curl across the front of its face, and it bears all these sharpened teeth. Wuce, you had said that you were readying an action in case it came up out of the water, so you can take a shot at it first if you'd like.
Yeah, I will do that.
It had all its concentration on Riceak as he was leaping out into the stones, so it would be a sneak attack as well.
Would it be a surprise attack or no?
Yeah, I would say I rolled a perception check against your stealth roll, so yeah, I'd say surprise attack as well.
Okay, I'm gonna just. So wait, it's 3x3, 15. Is that what that is?
The size
It's
of
huge.
it. The size of it.
Yeah, I'd only have to move up one
It's
square, and then I'd be within melee range of it, right?
I'd say you could probably just reach your blade out and stab it into the back of it. Sure.
Okay, so tell me where you just. I'd have to move up to the edge, right, of the land. Okay, that's what I do. So the assassinate, it's a crit hit.
Yep. You gotta still make an attack roll against it though, but I believe you have advantage. Yeah, so 26 is a hit.
It says that it's a crit hit though. If they're surprised.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean I just roll crit damage?
Roll your damage twice for the rapier itself, and then roll your sneak twice.
Nice.
10, 20, 30, 45.
Jesus.
49 damage.
Nice shot.
And then as a bonus, I should have done this beforehand. As a bonus action, I'll cast because I was going to do a second. Hold on a sec.
So you don't get a full turn. You get to make your sneak attack.
So does that mean
It's not
I
like
get?
it's not like a full turn.
So do I get to attack with the offhand still or no?
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about that. I don't know. Maybe you do get a full turn on a surprise
You
action.
get,
Alright.
action.
you get a reaction, that's all.
Okay.
So basically one attack, and then it goes into a regular initiative, and if he still beats that thing's initiative, he still has surprise on it.
I mean, I should have made you guys all roll initiative first and then let him go and then gone back into normal initiative order. But Surprise is like a condition. I did some research on surprise rounds and stuff like that, and so it's kind of like a condition, like blinded or confused or
That lasts like just the first part of the first round kind of thing.
yes, yeah.
So then, yes or no at the offhand?
I'd say
That's
we'll just say it's just your attack, so no with the offhand. Yeah.
all right.
49 damage. And then everybody roll some initiative for me.
That was awesome, man.
Thanks. But now it's like definitely knows where I'm at.
Yeah, he probably ain't gonna like you.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be a little ticked off.
And something is going on with my desktop right now.
But I'm hoping this did a decent chunk on him.
Hey, you made Toll of the Dead work for me.
Oh, because now he's damaged, yeah.
Yep.
1 second, I'm gonna go baste my chicken.
Ew.
Is that what he's calling it now?
Well, you're up first, Wuce.
He went to base his chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Then I'll just wait. Hold on. So I'm right up on him. I guess I'll, as my bonus action, cast Hunter's Mark on him.
Okay. I would say nobody's quite close enough for you to have like a 5 foot. Nobody's like within 5 feet, you know? He's kind of out into the water a little bit, and you have to kind of reach out and jam your weapons into him, you know? So nobody's like within 5 feet to currently give you, sneak attack on him. But
No, Hunter's Mark.
yeah, no, I know. I'm just letting you know.
You're letting me know that I can't use sneak attack on him.
Yeah, nobody's quite close enough.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll still do Hunter's Mark though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's just to the spell ends, concentration spell up to an hour. So to the spell ends, I get to do an extra 1d6 on a target with a weapon attack. And I get advantage on perception and survival checks against him.
Okay.
And if he drops a 0, I get to change it, move it to another target.
For like an hour, right?
Yeah. It says, I'm reading it, it says 1d6 damage on the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack, so I'm assuming that means it'll apply to both attacks I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll just, that's my BA on him. He's marked, and then I'll just do 2 attacks on him.
Okay.
$26.
26 is a hit.
And then I'll attack with the offhand.
$13 is a miss.
So, I use the bonus action in lieu
Oh,
of...
Hunter's Mark was your bonus action, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, if I moved now, I wouldn't be able to disengage first.
You would not.
So I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just asking. All right, so then I'm done.
Okay. So he raises one of his large... Oh, no, sorry. I got a little ahead of myself. Garn, you're up.
He's so eager to fucking kill us, dude.
Yeah.
Wuce and I can't remember who that one is. Is it Riceak?
Riceak? Yeah.
These two you have bless, and me. So the 3 of us have bless.
Which is 1d4 to your attacks and saving throws.
Yep.
Thank you.
And is that a concentration spell?
Yes.
And its duration is long enough.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah.
I just can't get closer to give it to our pally.
Sure. Okay, so we'll give you some bless here. Sorry, you said you and Wuce?
Wuce and Riceak. Yes,
Okay, cool.
the three of us.
And is that your turn?
That's my turn. I moved and did that.
Riceak, you're up. You've you kind of feel behind you this thing rise up out of the water, and as you turn, its tentacles are flailing before you. Its large maw now opening to its fullest span, and it looks like it could swallow you in one gulp, probably. Sigismund, why don't you make a perception check for me?
Oh boy. Ha, 3?
Okay. Just making sure your dice are working, man.
Nah, I see
All the
a
bad ones
fucking-
anyway.
Yeah. But Riceak, you're up now.
Okay, I'll continue my path along towards the statue here. How this face does it stick up off of the dais there?
Yeah, it does.
So I would like to get to here, like stepping across carefully.
Okay, yeah.
Like sticking my hand like in the lip of the mouth to hold on, and then kind of maneuvering away to the back end of this statue, and then looking inside.
Do you disengage?
Yes, I do.
So use your bonus action to disengage. Make an acrobatics check for me.
Acrobatics check.
It is good enough. You leap across, and the center stone is much more mossy and slippery, and you almost lose your footing, but at the last second you do manage to get your hand into like the lip of the statue and maintain your balance, and you skirt around the outside, now facing the behemoth's full force, the froghemoth.
And I will look inside the mouth where
Okay.
I saw whatever I saw earlier.
It looks like there's a small key resting in the tongue of the statue's head.
Do I notice it attached to anything, or like?
Doesn't appear to be, no.
Well, then I'm gonna grab it
Okay,
and pocket it,
you do so.
and I shout, "I found a key!" And then that's my turn, I think.
I think so. The froghemoth begins to flail and wave his tentacles around. One of them snapping backwards at you, Wuce. 14 to hit.
No, thank you.
And then you're just out of its range. So the
Jesus, 23?
and then a second one whips out to try and sweep your legs out from under you, Wuce. 27 to hit.
Well, the joy, That's not a crit, though? That's good. I'm glad that's not a crit.
And you take 14 bludgeoning damage, and the froghemoth begins to pull you into its open maw, and then he attempts to swallow you whole.
Then I get some kind of like save on that.
Oh,
like,
you can make a DC. Yeah, you can make a acrobatics check.
And then I also get blessed, right?
Bless. Yeah.
Which is a D4.
It would be. I would say it's just it would have to be an athletics check for this creature.
Oh, not a saving throw. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, you don't have any bonus on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Can I use the inspiration?
Sure. Just re-roll
Okay.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me knock my inspiration off. All right, that's better. I don't know what I had to get hit, so.
So it actually does not grapple you. But it does kind of like sweep your feet out from under you and knock you on your butt.
And then how much damage did I take? 14, you said?
14, yeah. And then so instead of grappling you, well, actually, I kind of did my action ahead of time, so I'll just.
What do you mean?
I'll just skip it for this round. Well, he can do like 2 things, but I just didn't make you do the saving throw, so it's kind of my fuck up. So Thalia, you're up.
Yes, so I
Thank you, I guess.
let's see. Like you said before, the water's pretty deep, so I can stand in the water, or
You can make a perception check for me.
oh, okay.
Now that he's risen up out of the water, you see if you can gauge how deep it is off of his body. So you
Real quick. Where is Azaka and then the guy who we just lifted up?
Yeah, I'll get Azaka down.
And the guy we saved from that rock pile.
Well, I don't think he's going to be part of combat. Do we really want to put him as a target?
He's not going to be part of combat.
Oh, I just did it because I was for RP purposes. I was gonna keep my word on something.
I stuffed him in the bag of holding.
I was gonna go unbind him because I told him I would.
Gotcha.
So.
I'll roll their initiatives at the start of the next round.
But yeah, I'm not trying to get him like targeted. I'm just trying to RP.
But he's nearby Azaka.
Okay, cool.
And Thalia, you
Mhm.
gauging from the monster's body, you think that maybe, let's see, feet, 2 meters. You think that the water's maybe 1.8 meters deep.
That's quite
Oh,
exact.
okay, that's little bit too much. So I move as closest to the
Which is 6 feet for us feet users.
Sure. So I move as close to the pool as possible, and I use my longbow to shoot at it.
You would be you'd be able to, if you slashed out with your full reach, you'd be able to also use your sword if you wanted to.
Can I use my sword?
Yeah.
All right. So I use the sword instead. It's
A 19 is a hit.
19?
Yes.
very well.
For 14 damage.
14, yeah.
And you would like
And
to
then I'll
check
make
it
the
again?
extra attack.
Yes. 28 is a hit.
So 20 probably as well.
25 total. Nice.
All right. So that was my turn.
Cool. Sigismund, you are up.
Alrighty then.
You are not getting any sense of undead or fiendish nature from this creature.
No. So I'll use my sword and shield here. Firstly, I'll move up here just to keep an eye on Wuce. He seems to be a target on his back. So.
Do you have a separate weapon that's not like Galadia's blade?
Yes, I have the longsword I used before I got
Okay,
that weapon.
cool. Just making sure. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm punching it with my fists would be a bad idea. Yes, I'll use the longsword I had.
It'd make that kind of like meat packing sound,
Do 1d4 damage. I'll is the tentacle still out or is it retracted?
He's got several tentacles that are all kind of like big, they're almost like his arms, and they're kind of waving around. He's got like 2 on each side.
All right, so I'll just swing at those, trying to make sure he can't grab people.
Sure.
Real quick, does he look like we're doing any damage to him? Like, how's he reacting to what we've inflicted on him so far?
He, from your first strike that you hit him with, there's a large gash in his back that's kind of oozing this greenish liquid. But
So he's definitely not unfazed by our damage.
Yeah, he doesn't appear to be totally unfazed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to judge like where he's at,
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
15?
15 is a hit. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Good enough.
9.
Mhm.
And I'll just keep chopping with my second one.
Okay.
25.
25 is a hit as well.
For 12 more. 21 total.
21 total damage.
Yes. That's me.
Yeah, and just like Sigismund, you cut 2 big gashes across the front of his belly, and more of that kind of viscous liquid begins to drip out his, mixed with a little bit of what looks like blood, but Sorey.
The scariest monsters are the ones that lurk within our souls.
That kind of comes out as the voice of Galadia a little bit.
Nice.
I put up my hands and I start to cast water, fire, earth, air, lightning, ice, elements, I call thee.
Lightning.
Thundercats. Ho!
Didn't mean to cast that so many times, but
That's
first
all
one,
right.
I guess.
Yeah, 27 is a hit for sure.
Wait, are you not doing lightning damage?
I'm
this
doing
time?
lightning damage for sure.
Lightning
Because
damage.
he is in water, so maybe that'll help us. I don't know.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Great minds and stuff.
Good thing nobody's standing out in the water. 17. Is that 17 and 6 together?
I believe so.
17. 23. So the lightning crackles out through the small pool. It radiates up into the monster's body, and his kind of like his kind of like wet skin begins to give off kind of a mist as the energy crackles through him. But it seems to have less of an effect than you would hoped for. And his lips kind of gnarl up, bearing a lot of his teeth, and he turns one of his reed stock eyes towards you, Sorey. And Wuce, I think you're up again.
Okay. I'm gonna disengage with my cunning action.
Okay.
Move over to what's his name? The guy who is bound.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll initiative for these guys too.
If you want them to go ahead of me, since they look like they're towards the end of the order.
No, it's all right.
Okay. I'm gonna go up to him. What's his name again?
Orvex.
And he's to the top right of Asaka.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up to him and be like, I'll say, blade or bow.
Bow.
And I cut him loose, and as I hand him the crossbow I have.
You give him a hand crossbow?
Oh yeah, well I don't know which one he can use. Hand or short, I guess I say to him.
Hand. Give him the hand crossbow.
So I give him a hand crossbow and some bolts. And I say, "Don't make me regret this, man."
He just nods at you, and he loads a bolt into the crossbow and points it at the behemoth.
And then I'm guessing that's my turn, right? Because I did interact with an item and I disengaged and moved. So.
Yep.
All right, that's my turn.
Cool. Garn, you're up.
DC 16 Wisdom saving throw or 15 points of damage.
Oh wait, sorry, real quick.
Damage.
I'm supposed to do some kind of saving throw, right? Because the hunter's mark is a concentration.
Did you take damage?
Yeah, he did.
I took damage. Yeah, so I just.
How much damage?
Con save.
I think it was 14.
It should be 10. It should be a DC 10, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anything
save?
above 20.
Yeah.
And this would get the bless, right?
No, the bless is mine.
But you casted it on me, meaning that I would get that saving throw bonus to it?
Yes.
You're good.
But you don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need it. All right, just making sure, sorry.
he takes no damage.
Oh, no damage.
It's all or
Oh,
nothing.
Gotcha.
God dang it, this guy's good.
Got any bonus actions?
Yeah. I will. No, I can't. I'm sorry. That's a healing word is a bonus action, right? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to healing word loose.
Okay.
For
Riceak,
6.
you're up.
Thank you.
Okay, I will take a 1-step leap to this point here, which is 5 feet. A standing leap, I can get 6 feet, so I can land on these ranky ass or janky ass planks here, and then
Okay.
from there, I'm gonna try to stumble up to the stairs.
Give me an acrobatics check. So you leap off the statue, and as you land on the janky ass planks, they basically just break in half, and you get fully submerged in the water.
Wait, is that even with guidance or bless? Because you have bless, right?
Well, it's
Oh wait, sorry.
it has
I
nothing
keep
to
fucking.
it has
Yeah,
nothing to
I'm
do
sorry.
with it has nothing to do with the check. The check is fine, but the
The terrain just disappeared.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So then I will attempt to use the remainder of my move to like crawl up the stairs.
Yeah, and you basically get a mouthful of this disgusting water that this huge beast has been like excreting excrement into for who God knows how long.
Oh god!
You know?
Frog
Behemoth shit right into my.
Yeah.
One frog behemoth, one cup.
I let out a laugh.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Easy
So,
message.
but you
so
pull
can hear
yourself
me.
up onto the still somewhat sturdy platform there and get yourself up out of the water. Yeah.
Okay, and that's probably the totality of my move, right?
I would think so.
Right here.
Yeah, I think so.
And I have an action left?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will turn and shoot an arrow at him.
Okay. Man, I don't know what's going on with my browser. It's like.
And is
Thanks, Obama.
I know.
yeah.
God.
6.
A 24 is a hit. Yeah. Sorry.
So that's 13 damage.
Okay.
And that's the end of my turn. And when I shout out, I'm out of the water now. And that's it.
The frog behemoth kind of lumbers a little bit through the pool in this direction, and he whips out one of his tentacles at you, Sorey. 28 to hit, and I need you to make a athletics check for me. So you feel this heavy tentacle wrap around you and begin to squeeze the life out of you, and you take 24 bludgeoning damage. And then he reels you in with his tentacle and basically shoves you into his mouth.
Oh boy.
13 to hit.
13 does not hit.
Does not hit. Okay, so he tries to swallow you, but somehow you manage to like prop your hands and feet in his mouth as he tries to like clamp down on you, and you're kind of standing there with the tentacle wrapped around you, propping his maw open as he tries to swallow you. And I believe that will be his turn. Thalia, you're up.
So now he has someone grappled, right?
He does, yes.
Yes. So I think I can move. Like, can I move to like here and then attempt to like jump to the like this whatever it is, a stairwell into the water or something,
Sure.
and like try to cut his tentacle.
Yeah, you can try that.
Do I need to like make an athletics check for that?
No, you can push past like Azaka and jump over onto the stairwell.
Oh, okay, and still make my attack.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I try to aim for the tentacle that's grappling.
Sure.
12.
12 is a miss.
All right, let's try this again.
24 is a
24.
hit. Yeah. 24 is a
All
hit.
right.
13
13.
slashing. So I'll say that you kind of hack through maybe like half of the tentacle, and you slash through a large chunk of his flesh, but it's still kind of attached to his body.
All right. So yeah, that was my turn.
Okay. Orvex fires a shot with the hand crossbow that you gave him, Wuce. And it looks like it sticks into the froghemoth, but doesn't really seem like it does much to him. And Sigismund, you're up.
Okay. Yeah. So I am going to use my bonus action to Misty Step on top of the thing.
Okay,
Up here.
sure. Give me an acrobatics check to not slip off the top of his
boy.
head. Yeah.
I might burn some inspiration here.
That's what they're for, right?
So that's enough. You managed to
Alright.
kind of sink your heels into the top of his head.
Good.
It's kind of squishy up here.
All right. Firstly, I'll try to end the tentacle holding Sorey
Okay,
for the first
yeah.
attack.
Go ahead.
See if I can finish that off. 20.
20's a hit.
Oh, 6.
Not quite enough damage though.
Oh!
And, it's
Have
still
another
kind
go.
Yeah.
22.
22 is a hit.
For 10.
And you get all the way through the rest of the tentacle. It kind of
Yay.
unwinds from around you, Sorey, and you fall into the water with the tentacle at the same time.
Success.
Thank you.
Azaka she draws both of her scimitars and she leaps across the small bit of water. She kind of turns them around in her hands and she tries to drive both her scimitars into the side of the creature.
Nice.
One of them kind of drives in, the other blade slips out of her hand into the water, and she puts her hand on the hilt of the other sword and just drags it down the side of the beast, coming to a stop about waist deep. She's just there holding on to her blade with it jammed into the side of the large froghemoth. And Sorey, you're up again. You're kind of spitting out some filthy pond water, and your head comes up out of the water with the tentacle there floating beside you.
I'm gonna use my bonus action to Misty Step away.
Okay.
What's the range on Misty Step again?
30 feet, I believe.
Gotcha.
In a puff of
Yep.
energy, you disappear and reappear on the banks.
There we go.
Bye.
And I'm just gonna move away somewhere else.
Okay.
And I believe I'm still in range for. Let me see. Oh yeah, I am. Okay, so. Yeah. Do magic missile.
Is that just one bolt, or is that all three? Oh, it does all
That's
three.
all three.
So your 3 bolts of magical energy slam into the front of the creature, right beside Azaka, kind of blackening its flesh. And Wuce, you're up.
I would just like to point out that it's the second worst roll you can get, which is kind of impressive. I almost feel like that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my spot alongside Azaka and try and do some D on this B.
Thalia is kind of right there now too, so you'll have sneak attack now.
Hell
And
yeah, I
Sigmund-
will. And
Sigmund's on
Siggy's
top of-
on him, so yeah.
Oh yeah, and Sigismund's up on top of his head.
22.
22 is a hit. So, how do you finish him?
Oh shit!
Oh shit! I go up and like jump and just like decapitate his eyes, and just like as I do that, then use the rapier as like, you know how like when a sailor like comes down one of those sails using the knife to like slow him down.
Yeah,
That's what I want to do to this thing, kind of like filleting its face.
nice.
And like, if the eyes are anywhere that's accessible, I yell out like, "Dibs on the eyes!"
You hacked them off, so they kind of tumble off into the pond, but they probably float on the surface.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
if they're something I can easily retrieve, I'm calling
Yeah.
dibs on them.
Probably, yeah. The creature begins to waver and kind of tumbles back, crashing into the pond. Sigismund, you can kind of leap off onto the bank as he falls backwards.
Yeah.
And
I try and high five him as he comes onto the bank.
What is the high five roll here?
Yeah, is it athletics?
I'd say
Or
acrobatics.
after that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
As he crashes into the waters, it kind of sends a large wake off to the other side, kind of like splashing you, Riceak, as you're clambering out of the side there, and
Hey, what the fuck?
and he falls into the waters dead.
Garn, I'm guessing you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Level 2.
Cool.
Sorey, yeah.
I just gained spellcasting ability.
What?
You were saying, Riceak?
Do you have prestidigitation? You can clean some of this off.
No, unfortunately, I don't.
All right.
Garn, Wuce, come with me. Are you healed, Wuce, or are you still damaged? Wuce. I guess he's basting his chicken again. I get Sorey to come down, please. Come down, please.
I'm back. What were you saying? Sorry. I was facing my chicken.
I'm just trying to get you and Sorey together so that I can heal y'all.
I follow him willingly.
Okay. So I cast Healing Spirit, and both of you get... You both get 33 hit points back.
You say 33?
Yes.
Oh, much better.
Are you still hurt, Wuce?
I think he only took 14 points of damage.
Yeah, I think Sorey got hit more than him.
Yeah, I only took 14 and you healed me up halfway through, so I'm way
Sorey,
well over now.
Sorey, what is your armor class?
Well, with 17 basically.
Basically, what does that mean?
With what's that spell? Mage armor.
So you just are always wearing that, or?
At the start of every day, I'm always wearing it.
And it lasts 8 hours?
Yep.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Did you buy it?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't matter this time. You were still hit me.
Yeah, no.
Hit me.
Well, the swallow would have probably killed you, right?
With 13?
No, if it had hit you. The damage.
Oh,
the
yeah.
damage
If it had hit me, yeah.
30. The damage was 37.
Yeah, that would have been dead.
Nice.
Wouldn't have killed him outright. I could have.
See, I told you, he's trying to kill us, see? It brings him pleasure to think about our deaths.
I can stop a lich's spell casting, but a fucking frog shit.
That's why
What the
we don't
fuck?
have any, like, bruisey fucking Conan-type badass in this group. The closest thing we have is, like, Sig, I think, right?
He had more HP than the Lich did, but he is a CR10 creature.
How much HP this motherfucker have?
184.
Woo, man!
You did do a ton of damage in that first round, though.
Yeah, and he
That first round I did chomp
he
into him a bit.
he had if he had one more turn coming up, he might have gotten somebody. But
I'm so glad that I was able to.
I basically also foregoed one of his attacks every round as well because you're kind of like the party's not as big as it has been on some sessions. So.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I foregoed one of his tentacle attacks on every round.
I hug you digitally.
Well, you can walk downstairs to do it too.
No, I'm in this. Well, technically, it would usually be upstairs, but currently I'm on the same floor as him. I don't know if that's FYI or not, but I'm basing the chicken, so I'm operating out of the dining room today.
You mean TMI?
So there's where you're standing, Garn. There's a gate in front of this structure here, and Orvex comes and stands up beside you, and he says, there's kind of an inscription above the gate written in Old Omuan, and he says, very interesting. It says that Kubazan urges us to tread without fear and to give back as much as we take. And it looks like there's a little keyhole in the gate there.
Can I inspect it for traps?
Sure, yeah. Make a perception check for me.
Guidance.
Oh boy.
Are there traps?
Not that you can tell.
Doesn't appear to be any traps.
Actually, Garn, give me an Arcana check for me. So there is something. It's very. You get that you notice this little kind of faint shimmer as you're kind of looking up at the inscription, and out of like the corner of your eye you notice this faint shimmer near where the lock is on the door, and it does seem that there's maybe like a glyph of warding on the door.
Well, it's a good thing I have this key here, so.
I pulled the other guy away and step away. Go for it.
So I put the key in the keyhole and I turn it.
Okay. It's kind of difficult to turn. It doesn't seem like the key in the mouth is kind of rusty looking, and but you turn a little harder, and eventually it does give way to the key, and the gates kind of unhinge, and a seam kind of opens up between them, and it looks like they pull out towards you.
It's safe, guys. Nothing happened.
You haven't opened them yet.
So I push the door open.
I pull it open.
Yeah. Sigismund, you pull one of the gates open, and you see steps that descend to a ledge overlooking a pit of sharpened stakes. There's an alcove on the far wall across from you as you descend down the stairs, this short set of stairs, that holds a pedestal with a stone cube resting on top of it. There's a relief carved into the back of the alcove that shows a monstrous frog with tentacles fighting a crane. Wooden beams radiate from the walls at floor height with 4-foot gaps between them, and carved frog heads exude from the walls above the beams themselves. The wall relief, Orvex, as he peers into this chamber, says that the wall relief shows Kubazan, the Froghemoth, fighting Papazodal, the Eblis. He says that part of the legend of the 9 gods is written back there as well, describing how Kubazan earned his tentacles from the god of Tau. The spiked pit is 30 feet deep, it looks like.
Jeez.
And so
Like
as
that
you
part?
the center part, so as you step down to the stairs to the small ledge and look down, the spiked pit is 30 feet below you, and there are these boards sticking out of the walls all around the chamber.
It looks like somebody that's good with acrobatics or either can fly needs to go over there.
I go outside, I pick up a handful of dirt, and I throw it onto like this area right here, like Indiana Jones style.
A handful of dirt lands into the pit 30 feet below you.
Damn it! Thought I was clever.
Do I notice anything?
Do you notice anything? No, not really.
So it looks like somebody's going to have to jump over there and get the cube.
Okay, I want to go along the edge on these little planks.
Okay.
Do they look stable?
Recalling to your last experience just recently with planks, you carefully look at these beams, and they do look sturdier than the previous ones. Some of them are kind of broken in pieces, and some stick out farther than other ones.
Okay, so when I step to them, I want to step as close to the wall as possible to put so much torque on the wood to break it.
So
guidance.
You step out onto one of the first beams, and as you do so, it begins to retract into the wall.
Okay, so then
do you leap forward or back to the stairs?
I keep going.
Okay. So give me an acrobatics check. And I assume that you're moving in this direction, right? So you leap to the first beam, and are you going to try and just jump to the next one or skip a beam?
Well, no, I'm gonna try to gracefully walk as fast as possible along the beams. So I wouldn't be necessarily jumping unless I have to.
Okay, so there's 4 feet of space typically between each of the beams. So as you feel the one beneath your feet begin to retract into the wall, you jump to the next one, and just like the previous one, that one begins to retract as well. So
okay.
Give me another acrobatics check as you continue to jump forward. So you make it to the third beam, and sure enough, this one begins to retract as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you gonna try and skip any of the beams, or are you gonna just go one after another?
One after another until I get to the platform.
If you don't skip some of them, you're gonna fall in the pit.
That's not true, because I can walk around the other side.
No, you're gonna fall in the pit because you're gonna miss a roll sooner or later. He just counted out 8 times that you're gonna have to roll or more.
You can do it.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're metagaming, these DCs probably increase with distance and these kind of things.
Just give me 13 acrobatics checks.
See what I mean?
How far
Alright.
across is it from where we are?
It's about 30 feet.
Could have just Misty stepped across or something.
But you need to keep hopping, or else you're gonna lose your footing and the beams. Yeah, there you go. So
Alright.
you're good. I'll tell you if you fall. So 2, 3.
Wait, what is this stuff going on? That's like moving stone.
5, 6. I'll describe it. I'll describe it in a minute. 7.
Garn, can't you like use that spell to like form stone like you did to get that? Shit
Okay, so you make it to right about here, Riceak, and as you land on that beam, you kind of it kind of splits and cracks, and before it can begin to start retracting into the wall, basically it just snaps on one end. Give me another acrobatics check to grab onto the next beam before you fall into the pit.
That's the guidance, right?
Okay, so now give me an athletics check to pull yourself up quickly enough before it retracts all the way into the wall to get onto the next beam. Okay, so you make it just at the very last second. You reach your hand out and you sink your fingernails into the next beam. You kind of in one swift motion, you use your momentum as you're falling to swing and kick your legs up and pull yourself and just land on your tiptoes on the edge of the next beam. Give me one more acrobatics check. And just at the edge of your tiptoes, you land on the pedestal where the pedestal lies.
Woo! That was close, guys. So I would like to examine the pedestal. What's on it?
Pedestal's not moving or anything, right?
It's not moving or anything. So there's. Let me. Hold on. I'll pull it. I have a.
Don't you still have guidance too?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting
So
that.
there's like a 4-foot tall pedestal there on the far end with the relief kind of carved in the stonework behind it. Sitting on top of the pedestal is a cube of stone that looks kind of like this.
Hey, that's the frog thing we just fought. Sorry, I can't see it, or can I see it?
There's a cube of stone with that frog thing we just fought on it.
Is it like engraved and like is it a cameo?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's like an engraving in the stone cube that resembles the frog hemoth. Yeah.
I relayed that information.
Is there any other writings in the room? I look at crossbow dude.
Just what it says behind the pedestal, which he can make out. Which is that it's well, the thing above the door. So in the room it says there's an inscription in Old Umoan that recounts the tale of how Kubazan earned his tentacles from the god Ubtao, which was basically the frog went up and Ubtao found it amusing that the frog wanted to wrestle him, and so he made the frog stronger to just make it more challenging for himself. But
Is that thing? Does it look like there's a trap there, or like a mechanism or anything?
It doesn't look like there is no.
I'm asking that of Riceak. I can't really see it. I'm guessing,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'm investigating it, so.
Yeah. The only other thing is that the before you guys entered this chamber, there was one other thing written in Old Omuan, which said that Kubazan urges us to tread without fear and to give back as much as we take.
Give back as much as we take. And that thing's not like a weighted, like a plate or anything.
Can I inspect for his suggestion? Like, do I detect any sort of like plate underneath it, or?
You don't detect a plate, no.
Well, if that's the case, it's probably maybe magical in nature. Well, can I like guess how much this thing weighs then, just by looking at it?
Um, yeah, judging by the size of the stone itself, you'd probably guess it weighs maybe a pound or so.
Okay, well then I dig through my explorer's pack and I pull out, I don't know, like my tinder box, which is maybe a pound,
Okay,
and I'm gonna try that Indiana Jones thing
sure.
and hope a boulder doesn't land down on me.
So as you take the stone from the pillar, there's a split moment where the all the frog heads above the boards that stick out from the walls, their mouths kind of open a bit wider, and as you set down your tinderbox, which weighs about the same amount as the cube, the mouths stop opening, and it seems that you are safe for the time being.
Good suggestion, Wuce. So I'm gonna package or bag the cube and then try to make my way along this other end.
Wait, hold on, wait. Is there the whole Misty Step thing? Is there a way to incorporate that with one of these guys or something? Like it's someone else, or is he just like destined to have to do 27?
Well, I can skip. Go ahead.
Or is there any pictures on the roof, on the ceiling, or anything? Or
Well, why don't we just throw a rope across so that he can tie it off over there and just tie it off over here, and he can just crawl across the rope.
kind of like zip line a little bit, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Just hang on the rope.
yeah, exactly. Instead of trying to do all those checks, then he's just got one check to come across.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is good brainstorming session. Good job, guys.
All the
All right.
yeah, all the boards on the west side of the room that Riceak stepped on have retracted into the wall, so all the boards on the east side of the room are still protruding out from the wall. But yeah, you'd have to. You can only assume that they're going to operate in the same manner as the ones on the west side of the room.
Okay, well then I'm gonna get my hempen rope out and tie it to my hook, and then call across the way to clear the staircase, and I'm gonna underhand throw the hook across to where Garn is currently standing.
Sure, yeah. You guys don't have any trouble getting a rope situated in such a way that you can kind of hand over hand it back across to the other side. Just give me an acrobatics check to do so. And whoever's holding the rope on your side, give me an athletics check as well.
We hook it up against the door.
Oh, okay, sure. That works. Yeah, so it's not too hard for you to do, and you make it across the rope. Kind of just shimmying across to the far side.
Okay, and then I pull the cube out and I give it to Sorey and Garn to examine because they're the lore masters, I think.
Sure.
And that Omu guy, the guy who speaks Omu.
Yeah, Orvex is impressed with your retrieval of the cube, certainly, and he takes a look at it and he says, well, all I really know is that these cubes are probably the key to gaining access to the Tomb of the Nine Gods.
How many of those keys did your party encounter?
This is the first shrine we came across, and we were just getting ready to explore it before my party was wiped out.
Uh-huh.
Surveying the scene before we left the compound, I do believe that a few of the wizards escaped with their lives, so they might still be here in the ruins unless they decided to flee.
So we might be running into them in other temples then, or shrines.
Yeah. Do a ritual detect magic and see if anything is glowing in the pool of water.
The cube itself is glowing. Why don't you roll an investigation check for me?
I was gonna say, is it worth identifying?
No. It's just magical in nature.
Gotcha.
So Garn, you do sense a slight magical aura at the bottom of the pool.
I look at who's already wet and Sigmund.
It's
Riceak,
Oh, fuck my life.
Hey, there's something magical down there.
Can you ping it on the map? Can you point to it in the water?
Yeah, it's near where the Froghemoth's body fell into the...
Okay, so then I take off all my heavy gear and I set it on the shore and then I dive in and look for it.
Yeah, so, give me an investigation check, I guess. Because you can't see the magical aura down there, and you just kind of have to feel around with your hands. But you find a solid feeling object. It seems, once I decide what it is, I'll tell you.
I think I'm running out of air.
So you wrap your hands around a what feels like a little piece of metal, and there's kind of a chain hanging off of one end of it. And when you come out of the waters, it's like a golden brooch.
I found this brooch thing, Garn.
It looks like two interlocking golden shields. And it's kind of been put on a little chain.
I
hand it to Garn.
And I don't help him out of the pool.
So then I splash shit water on him.
Garn looks down at you and then smiles and helps you out. Comes over to Sorey. Hey, here you go. Your turn.
You won't be able to
see what
sneak
this
anywhere.
is.
So I give you the brooch, so it's all you.
I hand it to Sorey so she can identify it. He
He...
can.
God, I don't always play female characters.
So if you do so, Sorey,
I cast Identify.
what
Well,
you've-
ritual cast.
what you've found is a brooch of shielding. While wearing this brooch, you have resistance to force damage, and you have immunity to damage from magic missile.
Immunity from what?
Immunity to damage from magic missile spell.
Do you have is it
That's
require
very
attunement?
What's that?
Does it require attunement?
It does.
What was that first part again?
Resistance to force damage. So
I got it in the party loot.
probably something left over from an adventurer consumed by the Froghemoth.
That could have been May.
Out of character, force damage is a pretty good thing to have. It's a resistance to, since it's kind of rare to find that, right?
I mean, it's good to have resistance to any kind of damage.
Well, I'm just saying, like, a lot of times in a more natural setting, the other ones get addressed, but force seems to be one of the few that, like, you don't find a lot of resistance to
Yeah.
in general. So that's all out of character, like, metagaming.
Force and necrotic and radiant, yeah, they're more uncommon to find resistance to in magical items. One thing, I guess, make a survival check for me, Garn. You do notice a ton of little footprints that seem recent. And judging from their size and what they look like, you believe that maybe there's like a half a dozen or a dozen or kobolds that were recently here.
Okay, that's scary. Kobolds were here.
What's that?
And when you hear that, Riceak, you put two and two together, kind of, and you think that those were probably the creatures that passed by the compound last night that woke you up.
Well, last night I heard about 8 creatures pass by the hut last night, so I assume that might be them.
It looks like they padded into the shrine, kind of in a line, and it looks like they stopped at the doors of the shrine, and then they kind of made a circle around the outer portions of the pool, and then they left in a like northern direction.
I'm fine giving it to her if nobody else wants it.
Who has the brooch right now?
It's in the
I
loot
do.
bag.
Oh, well, that too.
I grab the brooch and give it to Zaka. I'm like, me lady.
She reaches her hand out and she takes it from you and she kind of holds it in her palms and she looks down at you, Wuce, and she says, "It is quite beautiful. Thank you, Wuce. I will wear it proudly." And she kind of wipes the muck off of it and she undoes the clasp around the chain and puts it around her neck, and it kind of drapes down the 2 interlocking shields, kind of draping down the front of her chest, and she kind of tucks it into her tunic.
I walk over to crossbow guy. You sure you know how to use that thing?
He says the mechanism is simple enough. I've used weapons before. I wouldn't consider myself a fighter, but I believe that I can operate this crossbow.
During downtime, we're gonna practice. How about that?
Certainly. Seems that these lost ruins of this ancient city are a dangerous place. I appreciate you allowing me to protect myself.
It's the least one can do in this scenario, I guess.
And that's probably a good spot for our mid-session break. So
No!
we'll take a 5 here.
You taking a 5er?
Let's take a 5er, yeah. Man, that 2 hours flew by pretty quick there.
Yeah,
For
good.
sure.
True.
Hey, I can ask you this in person, I guess.
So we'll take a quick 5.